In today's Insight, I'm going to show you how to automatically recommend a support location for a user to contact based on a location that they provide you. We're going to use HubSpot Forms, we're going to use Zapier, and we're going to use OpenAI's ChatGPT assistants. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Ryan Schweihart, founder of Whole Heart Impact, where I help businesses grow leveraging HubSpot and Zapier. In today's website, by the end of it, you'll know how to create a HubSpot form, create an assistant in ChatGPT, and then use that assistant, leveraging Zapier, to automatically send an email after a HubSpot form has been submitted. So what we're going to do today, I'll show you how the automation works. Then I'll dive into the details of how to set everything up. Today's website was inspired by a post in the HubSpot community where Lisa asked if there could be an ability to have a location field for people to type in where they are located, and that will determine the phone number we suggest they call for customer support. Since we have quite a few, what will be the best way to do this? Now, I'm sure there's a bunch of location finder plugins that you could put on your website. But for this example, I thought it'd be fun to go ahead and leverage HubSpot Forms since this is hosted in the HubSpot community. And then to be able to leverage Zapier and ChatGPT to minimize the amount of coding that we actually have to do to implement a solution like this. So the first thing we need to do is set up a HubSpot form. Um, but before I dive into the details of how it works, I'm going to show it to you in action. So what we have here is a form set up. And so I'm going to just go ahead and populate my email here. Let's pick a random city of Boise, Idaho, and USA. All I'm going to do is submit the form. Now I'm submitting this at about 4:18 Central Time. PM in the US. And so once I submit it, I'll pull up the email that then gets sent suggesting the location to contact. Now I have about 10 McDonald's locations across the US and 5 McDonald's locations across the world that represent our locations in this example. And so we'll see which one it suggests and kind of verify that that's the correct one it should have as we go through the details of how this is all set up. So let me go ahead and submit the form. We've customized this thank you portion that says thank you for telling us your location. Please check the email you provided for the recommended location to contact. Quick side note, this is a standalone page, but we could get the HubSpot embed code and embed this on our website. So that way a user doesn't necessarily have to navigate to a new page to submit this form. So here you go. You can see at 4:19, we've received an email that says, hi, here's your recommended support location to contact. And the support location is in Seattle, Washington. The address is this, and here's the phone number. So there's a little bit of cleanup that might need to occur, but by and large, it picked the right location. And so how did we do this? Let's dive in. The first thing we need to do is set up the form in HubSpot itself. So to get there, you'll navigate to Marketing Forms here, and then you'll select Create Form. And you can either do an embedded form or a standalone page. If you do a standalone page, you can still get the embed link after the fact. So it's really whichever one you'd prefer. In this use case, I'd probably recommend an embedded form, but yeah, either one works. I've already got it set up here. And so let's go ahead and hop into the edit form setup. You'll have to have an email that's required, and then you can drag over from the frequently used properties something like the city, state, and country, and you can determine whether to make those required or not. So if you select one of these properties and select to make this field required, that will require the user to input a value there before they can submit the form. Now to customize the thank you message, all you have to do is navigate over to this options tab, and then you'll have thank you message likely selected by default. and then you can customize the thank you message from here. That's pretty much all I did. I mean, you can click around and see some of the other optionality that you have. You may notice this automation portion um, that would allow you to, say, send an email, but we want to go ahead and customize the output of that email, and that's where we'll leverage ChatGPT's assistant capability, as well as just go ahead and leverage Zapier to go ahead and send the email specifically. The next thing we need to do is set up our assistant in ChatGPT. And so to get to this page, you'll go to platform.openai.com/assistance and just go through the setup. There's plenty of help articles out there, so just Google it. It should be pretty straightforward to get this set up. And I think you need a paid account. And then in addition, you'll have to pay for each usage or each API call, but it'll be very minuscule for something like what we're doing here today. So once you've got everything set up, you'll come over here to this assistance portion here, and I've already got it created, but you'll go ahead and create the assistant. Go ahead and name it whatever you want to name it. I went ahead and titled it Support Location Suggester. And then as far as the instructions go, I typed out these instructions. I'll post them in kind of the blog article that I put together, and you can get this and copy paste it. You may need to tweak it a little bit. It's very easy to tweak. Once you make a change and you navigate away, it automatically saves. But I've got a little bit of prompting here at the top, and then I've got a list of our support locations. Again, in this case, we just randomly selected some McDonald's locations across the US and the world. And so you see them kind of here from a high level as far as the cities go. And then down here is where some of the worldwide locations are at. And so, yeah, I think in general, Seattle, Washington would have been the closest to Boise, Idaho as we selected. So just from a high level, it looks like it calculated it correctly. Now, once you have the instructions populated, I go ahead and go with the GPT 4.0 model. I think that's kind of recommended, and it's relatively new, but that's what I'd recommend leveraging. And then I've gone ahead and toggled on the code interpreter step, or tool, and this allows us to calculate the distances based on the location the user provides against the existing locations, the existing support locations that we have. That's pretty much it. Before you use it in Zapier, you can click on this playground portion and just put in a random city. So let's say Atlanta, Georgia, and yeah, it's good. So let's see what it does here for Atlanta, Georgia. You can see it running the code, getting the lat long for Atlanta, Georgia, and comparing it to the lat longs of the other locations, the support locations that we already have. I told it to output it in HTML because it'll be used for the formatting of the email. But Chicago, Illinois, maybe closest could be Miami, but yeah, we'd have to kind of verify that, and that's where the testing would potentially need to come into play. But yeah, essentially our assistant is set up at this point, and then the last thing we need to do is set up our Zap in Zapier. So I'll dive into the edit mode to show you how I've set it up. The first thing is the trigger step. So that's a new form submission in HubSpot. So you'll select HubSpot as the app, and then for the event, you'll select a new form submission mapped to the account of your HubSpot account. And then for the trigger, you select the form that we created previously, and then just submit a dummy information to then go ahead and get some test data to then work off of and build out the rest of the Zap. Then the next step is conversation with Assistant in ChatGPT. So for the app, whenever you select the next step in Zapier, you're going to want to search for ChatGPT. There's also an OpenAI app, but you don't want to select that one. You want to select the ChatGPT one. Now, once you've selected that for your app, the event that we'll use is Conversation with Assistant. Go ahead and map to your account. Um, you may need to set up a secret key whenever you connect your account. And again, you'll get that in the instructions as you go through setting up your system. But then once that account is mapped, then whenever you come over to the action tab for this step, I went ahead and just put, city, state, country, and mapped to the city, state, country from the form submission. And then whenever you select your assistant here, you should see the assistant available to select. And that's pretty much all we need to do. We don't really need to populate any of this other information because we've already set that up in the assistant itself. If you wanted to overwrite those settings, you could populate this information here. I just prefer to have everything built out in the assistant itself and not have potentially two places to need to update something. And then go ahead and test it to get an output to use for the last step, which is send an outbound email in Email by Zapier. So you can use your email client. Let's say you have Gmail or Outlook or something like that. You could very much select that and send it from that account. In this example, I just went ahead and used this Email by Zapier app. So if you search Email by Zapier, you'll get this step available. And then for the event, you'll go ahead and send outbound email. It's the only one available. And then the action is where you'll build out the email step itself. So you'll map to the email that was submitted in the form from the form previously. For the to line, you can customize the subject of the email. You can customize some of the body of the email. You want to go ahead and grab the full response from the previous step from your assistant. And then, yeah, you can customize the from name. So if you want to input your company name and support, you can hard code that into there. And then if you want to have a reply email available, you can put that email for them to reply to. And that's pretty much it. You can, test it as you need. But by doing so, or yeah, once you test it, and if you're good with it, you can publish it and go live. So then the last step would be, grabbing the embed code or something to those lines, along those lines, to put on your website. So to get there, you can go to your HubSpot form here, click share, and the embed code tab here, copy that, and put it as an embed code on your website for someone to submit a form that way. So that's pretty much it from a high level. Again, there's probably multiple ways to go about it, and I welcome any other thoughts or ideas of how to achieve what we're after in this demonstration. And post a comment below if you have any other ideas or suggestions for Lisa or future people that come along. And other than that, reach out to me if you want to see anything specific demonstrated. But bye for now.